listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lawson. This is a special Big Camp episode. We also have producer Shell here with us in the studio, our makeshift studio, which is, it's feeling like a World War II makeshift bunker or something here. This is like a beautiful little prayer chapel in the middle of the bush. And here we are with satellite internet and microphones. It's really cozy.
Yeah, 100%. I love this room that we're broadcasting from as well. It's a little chapel.
So much better than the one we had the last couple of years. That tiny little echoey chamber.
We're in a little office, but now we're in this chapel, stained glass windows. You know, we're loving life. Yeah. Hey, listening to The Breakfast Show, what are we going to be talking about in our next hour?
Look, I'm going to be talking about what can churches and Christians learn with the pararescue team from the United States Air Force.
Sure.
And I think that's a lot.
Dude, awesome. I'm excited.
So we're going to be talking about the rescue of the two American pilots that were in the downed F-15 Strike Eagle. Everybody talked about them. It was like one of the most daring rescue missions of all times. And we're going to be looking into what happened there. There's so much to unpack.
And who are we interviewing today?
We are interviewing today a lady called Nina Atchison.
Oh, so exciting.
She's none other than the creator, the author of this quarter's 20 Million Movement Guide, Growing in a Relationship with Christ. We're actually going to be able to interview her and have a Bible study with her. And not only she created, Lawson, this incredible Bible study to grow in our relationship with Jesus, but she also created helped to create a whole series of curriculum for children where every single day of their lives, from their birth all the way to their 18th birthday, they can actually learn something new about God and be made into the image of a disciple of Jesus.
Amazing.
Become a disciple themselves. So she's going to be telling us all about her work, her project, her passion. So it's going to be a great interview with her here today.
Well, hey, before we get into any of that, we need a quiz. Please, produce Shell.
Okay. Our second quiz is a Bible or not. This above all to thine own self be true. Is that in the Bible or is it not?
Can you say that again?
This above all to thine own self be true. Is that in the Bible or not? We've got correct answers in the studio. And if you want to play along, we would love for you to text us in on 0491 064 669. And that question one more time. All you have to do is send either the word Bible or the word not. Is this statement in the Bible? This above all to thine own self be true.
Okay, I've got a story this morning, and it's from about a month and a half ago. It's one of those stories that I wish I was on Faith FM as it was breaking, but obviously I'm not. But I'm here now, and I just want
to
tell you...
Whose fault is that again? Let's just remind
Okay. But I just want to tell you guys about it. It's essentially a story about how chasing ill-gotten gains often comes to nothing. This is a story about a man versus a police department. And this particular man has a bit of a history, a bit of a legacy, and he's relatively well known. His stage name is Afro Man, and that's how we'll just refer to him. His real name, I think, is Adam Morland, but we're just going to call him Afro Man because that is his stage name.
I'm wondering, does he have like a really famous song that everybody knows?
He does. He has multiple famous songs that like a lot of people know. I don't want to promote the music because he is like quite a big marijuana advocate, which is something that and that's the topic of a lot of his music, especially.
Oh, I think I know exactly what music you're talking about
in his heyday. Actually, in fact, his most famous. You know what? I will say his most famous song is just about how he's like marijuana is ruining his life, which is kind of hilarious. He's a marijuana advocate, and his most famous song is about how marijuana has made his life increasingly harder. But hey, look, this guy has made his money as a rapper. He's now like a middle-aged dad living in the United States, and there was an anonymous tip sent to this police department. He lives I think he lives in Ohio or Iowa, like in one of these flyover states on a property, and, just living his life out there and occasionally doing shows, to top up his retirement. But he's just chilling. He's just doing his thing. He's made his money rapping. He's just doing his thing. Anyway, anonymous tip comes through to the police department that he is trafficking narcotics and kidnapping people. Like that's what he's up to.
Wow,
in
that's some
his trial.
serious accusations.
Serious accusations. And so I think rightfully so, the police department get a warrant to search his house. That's fair. Like if, it's like, and especially because of this person's history, that then they don't have a criminal, like an overwhelming criminal history, but because of like what they're known for and whatnot, it's like, hey, maybe this guy in his retirement went off the rails and decided to, become a big time drug, like narcotics and, kidnapper guy, trafficking guy. So they get a warrant to search his house, and they search his house while he's away. Now they break down the front gate, they break down the front door, they go through all the house, they actually disconnect some security cameras, they take about $6,000 in cash that was on the property. They take that from the property by going through different suit pockets and different drawers and whatnot, like a big time raid. There's like, all these officers there, some, in full SWAT tactical gear holding AR-15s, sheriffs holding pistols, like all this kind of stuff. So they fully raid the house. They go through, they look everywhere, and they don't find any evidence of narcotics trafficking or kidnapping or victims, or they literally find nothing. Because again, there was no evidence to begin with. It was just an anonymous tip. They don't find any evidence there, and they clear Afro Man. And they say, Afro Man, you're obvious.
They didn't find anything.
They didn't find anything. Yeah. Anyways, so Afro Man is like, okay, officers, it was a warranted search, so it's, it's like, fair enough. But you took my $6,000, firstly. And secondly, you've done like a bunch of damage to my property, about $20,000 worth of damages in breaking windows, breaking doors, breaking down my gate, breaking my security cameras. So I'm going to need that reimbursed because I'm not guilty of any crimes. Like you need to restitute me. I didn't even do anything. Now, the Adams County Sheriff returned some of the money. So about $4,500 they returned, but they keep $1,500. And that's just disappeared. The second thing is that they say, we will not restitute you anything for our search. We are not going to do any of it.
But this is not normal for the police to pay for damages that they cause when they're doing raids in houses, is it? I've never heard about such a thing.
I'm not sure, but simultaneously,
unless they're doing excessive force, but if it's like reasonable force, I think
so
this
is what he needed to prove, and from the footage that come out, it's kind of like they didn't need to like switch off and break his security cameras. They didn't need to take all that money. They didn't need to break glass windows and whatnot. He wasn't even home. Like, oh yeah, kicking down the gate, kicking down the door, but they did go a bit over the top. And simultaneously as well, again, this is an anonymous tip, and they cleared him. They fully cleared him. And so, are you just left with the bill? If someone says, if I say, oh, Skafy is XYZ, go search his house, the police bust down all your doors and should you have to pay for all that damage, even though it's not true, right? Yeah. So someone needs to restitute. The police were completely unwilling to do so. And so what does Afro Man do? He makes a song. So basically he gets security camera footage from the raid, and he turns it into, he uses it as background footage for a song. The first one is called Can You Help Me Repair My Door? And it's just following the officers around the house and all the different things that they're doing, the way they're like, looking through all of his stuff and looking, and then breaking his stuff. And he's just like, will you help me fix that? Are you going to pay for that? Hey, why are you taking my money? Da, 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 da. He comes out with that song. At first, the Adams County Sheriff Department in the United States, they respond by, it's just, apparently they're like laughing and stuff around the office. He then comes out with another song, kind of making fun of one specific officer who was not really participating in the raid, but rather standing, suspiciously close to some cake that was left out on the counter, and he's kind of making fun of him, like, oh, you guys come out to raid my house, but this guy's just wanting to eat lemon pound cake. I think after the personal attacks, and particularly when the song started to get popular. So a couple of years ago, when I first interacted with, when I first heard about this a couple of years ago, the songs were at about 1 million views. One was 1 million views, one was 1.5 million, which is decently viral, right? Decently viral. And so because of that, the Adams County Sheriff Department decided to sue Afro Man for defamation. And they sue him, and they try to say that, it wasn't freedom of speech that he was under, but rather they were defaming the police department and da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, it goes to court. It goes to trial. And the court finds that this is absolutely a case of freedom of speech. Afro Man, as someone who has been dealt with unjustly, is trying to, find a way to bring public attention to his injustice, the way he's been dealt with unjustly. And this is the means by which he can do so because he has a public platform. It was seen, the courts, the jury and whatnot.
And defamation is when you're lying about someone's character. He's not lying about anything there.
Yeah.
He's just showing the footage of what actually happened.
He's just like, hey, this is what happened and this is what I need help with. Anyways, so all this happens. They go through their lawsuit. One particular moment in the lawsuit, one of the officers, and this was kind of a big part of the case. This was a big part of the defamation lawsuit, is that one of the officers had gotten divorced as a result of the lawsuit and was he had gotten divorced and claimed that it was Afro Man's song that had put that much pressure on his marriage, leading to their divorce. And what was kind of interesting and funny is that the only witness that Afro Man called to the stand was that officer's ex-wife, and called her to the stand and the lawyer just asks her point blank, did these songs, did anything that my client said cause you to get divorced? And she's just like, no, like this had nothing to do with it. Like literally nothing to do with our divorce. These officers, so it was a personal suit, not from the sheriff department, but the individuals in the video. They tried to sue him for $4.5 million and they lose. And then what happens is like the most Streisand effect ever, because now everyone's looking at the case and everyone's watching the videos and everyone's seeing the injustice and
lemon pound cake sales probably went through the roof.
That's right. 11 pound cake sales. And dude, the songs went super viral and it's a real moment. Like, look, I'm not advocating for Afro Man, and his lifestyle and whatever it may be. But in this particular case, like the sheriff department was okay with it until they saw an opportunity or the members of the sheriff department, until they saw an opportunity to get money and they started to feel like slighted and embarrassed. And then they're like, oh, let's go over this after this guy legally, when they shouldn't. They tried to go for some ill-gotten gains and ultimately failed. I want to read a Bible verse here. This is Proverbs 10 and verse 2. The Bible says, treasures gained by wickedness do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. These guys are experiencing, not only did it not profit them, it's actively like made them famous for being incompetent police officers. And it's like, it's them trying to go after him, trying to use the hand of the law in the wrong way to get like $4.5 million out of this guy. Backfired incredibly, right? And so it shows me that, hey, man, like just do things the right way. They should have just found a way to give this guy his 20 grand back after, like, he has footage of them like breaking stuff in his house.
Wouldn't it have been better if the sheriff could go there and Afro Man, hey, you can have a piece of my lemon
pound cake,
the lemon pound cake, and let's just like solve this in a civilized way. Give me my money back. Help me to fix up the door, and all good between the two of us.
Yeah, that literally, like that's the first song you put out was just, can you help me repair my door? Can you help me repair my gate? Like that's all he wanted. And now, I mean, Afro Man would have made a ton of money off this because it's gone super viral. Like the songs themselves, they're all monetized and on YouTube and whatnot. And so yeah, hey, ill-gotten gains or attempted ill-gotten gains do not pay.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Joined by myself, Lawson. We've got Skafy in the studio, producer Shell on the decks, getting it done. And Skafy, you're going to give us some insight into a fantastic story about, one of the most daring rescues of all time. Before we talk about that, we need a quiz answer. Please, producer Shell.
Indeed. So, Bible or not, this above all, to thine own self be true. Where is that found?
Not in the Bible.
Not in the Bible.
Some Disney movie or something?
No, Shakespeare.
Classic.
Shakespeare, to thine own self be true.
What is it from a particular play? Do you know? Hey,
I'm not 100% sure which one. No, I'm not a big Shakespeare fan.
I'm going to do some research because I'd like to know. But hey, it's from Shakespeare. It's not in the Bible. Shakespeare said that.
I would say, I would rephrase it like this. To thine own conscience be true. Not to your own self, because our own self, it's a sinful self. So, Okay, Lawson, let me talk to you about that story because I've been really looking forward to talk to you about that one. So on last Friday, there was an operation where an American aircraft, it was a fighter jet, an F-15E Strike Eagle. It was shot down over Iranian territory.
Wow.
And it was shot down by one of the Iranian air defenses. And what happens is that both the pilot and they call the weapons systems officer, so that's the guy that sits on the piggyback, on the rear seat, and he's controlling the missiles, the guns, they both safely ejected from that aircraft, from their airplane. But the jet was going so fast that when they fell, they were they felt like miles apart.
Okay.
They were really far from each other. So the pilot was safely rescued straight after. They always had like people on call, like the security teams, rescue teams, and they managed to find the first one. The second one, however, the search and rescue teams could not find.
Oh.
So apparently he did communicate back, and he sent like the Mayday signal, and they had an idea of where he was. But he immediately applied one of his training parts, which is to evade. Because at the same time, word got out in the Iranian media, and they were offering $60,000, which is like 200 times an average monthly salary of an Iranian person, to whoever would capture that weapons officer alive.
Wow.
So the whole country was in this manhunt for the downed U.S. airman.
Wow. Yeah.
So where was he? So nobody knew. I remember. So everybody was scrambling around, and the operation that ensued was then labeled as one of the most daring and most incredible operations of rescue in the history of the United States military.
Sure.
It started with a disinformation campaign, with the United States very early on sending messages to the media, particularly to the Iranian media as well, through various avenues, saying that we have found the officer. They haven't. But they were trying to convince less people to go out and hunt for him.
Sure.
At the same time, knowing roughly where that man was, they created a 3-kilometer perimeter around that area that was monitored by drones, and everybody that would cross that perimeter from the Iranian forces would be destroyed.
Yeah.
So that they did that. In the meantime, there was a helicopter search. That helicopter was downed by small fires, small arms fires by Iranian soldiers.
Okay, so the helicopter that was trying to find this
guy was downed. Boom. Okay, so they lost one helicopter. Then there was an A-10 Thunderbolt, which was like an attack airplane. That one also was shot down by small arms fire, meaning, AKs, 47s, and these kinds of machine guns.
Sure.
The guy managed to cross the country and do a forced landing into Iraq, and then he was rescued straight away.
Wow.
That's the second asset. Then there were two big transportation aircrafts, troop transportation aircrafts that were downed because they landed in this like makeshift airstrip.
Sure.
And they got bogged down. And because they did not want these aircrafts to fall into the hands of the wrong people, they had to be destroyed.
So
there's another like $30 million for each of these. Plus, then they were using a device that it was reported by the CIA as a brand new device that it's called the Ghost Murmur. Uh-huh. Now, this Ghost Murmur is it's an interesting
awesome
and at the same time kind of scary device, which is used. They say that it uses long-range quantum magnetometry. It's so hard to say this, but basically it can pick up. It's a technology that can pick up magnetic fields, including the trace of the electromagnetic signals produced by a human heartbeat. So in over 40 kilometers, they can see where's a human heartbeat, and then they use AI to sift out all the background noise to pinpoint where that person is hiding.
That is hectic.
Now, there's some skeptics that say, even though this is official information from the United States, some people are saying, hey, this technology cannot exist. Yeah. Impossible. This is intimidation tactics here. Yeah. But this is, I'm just telling you what has been reported by official U.S. media. And finally, they found the man. He was hiding in the crevice of a rock.
Wow.
And the team that rescued him were called the PJs, the Air Force Para Rescue Team. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about these people because probably they are one of the most highly trained human beings in terms of military rescue in the world. So what they get to train with, their training is probably the longest training of all special forces. It's 2 years training to become a para-rescue man. And they specialize in going where others cannot go or won't go. And this is the things that they have to go through. They learn how to jump in parachutes. They learn how to swim and how to do underwater rescues. They learn how to shoot. They also learn how to be paramedics. So by the time that they end their training after 2 years, they are more qualified than a normal paramedic. Actually, they get registered paramedics as part of their training. They learn how to do animal rescues as well, because if they have a canine, for example, that gets sick or gets injured in combat, they are qualified as veterinary paramedics, particularly for dogs. They learn how to escape from helicopters that fall on water. So basically, this for 2 years, they're learning how to climb mountains, how to operate in snow territory, how to operate under the water, how to jump from parachutes. They can operate in any environment, in jungles, any environment on planet Earth. They're able to go there and to rescue someone else.
Wow.
For 2 years. Actually, this is such a grueling program that even after the initial selection, which is very, very rigorous, only 20% of the applicants ever make it to the end.
Wow.
And this is what I love about them the most, their motto. So in their motto, in their logo, they have the world, and behind the world, they have this angel. And their motto is that others may live.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what they're all about.
Yeah.
We do these things. They said this is their complete motto. These things we do that others may live.
Incredible.
So the United States government spent hundreds of millions of dollars, thousands of people to find the one lost pilot.
Yeah.
And when I'm seeing this, I'm seeing here, what about we as churches? Shouldn't we also have that same motto, that others may live? How much resources are we spending so that we can find one lost soul back to Jesus? So when I look at that story and see how much effort that has been made to rescue this one soldier, this one officer, this one colonel, I'm thinking here, man, I think that me as a church, we should have the same level of diligence.
Of course.
For those who do not know Jesus yet, for those who are lost, for those who are being taken by the snares of Satan.
Absolutely. And of course, one lost and spending so much to find, my mind immediately goes to the lost parables that Jesus tells, the lost sheep, the lost coin, and then the prodigal son. How much, and all of those stories have a kind of idea of resources being attached, time, effort, and energy being attached to to find that lost thing. Probably the greatest one is like the man. This is kind of not a lost parable, but kind of it is at the same time. The man who finds the treasure in the field and then sells all that he has to buy this field so that he can obtain the treasure, right? And it just goes to show to us what Jesus is trying to teach us is firstly the lengths that God will go to for you, but simultaneously how that should inspire you, the lengths that you should go to.
100%.
For not only to know God, but to help others know God.
Because imagine how you would feel if you were the one lost and, your country is using all of these resources just to find you, just so you can get back to your home, to your wife, to your family.
Yeah.
But, when you come,
I'm wondering if
how would you feel?
I wonder if the US government's going to take it out of his pension. Oh yeah, we'll take the helicopter out. We'll take the two aircraft.
I hope not, because that would be a very expensive.
It would be in minus money. Yeah.
But not if we would feel so honored, how much more should we feel? Because through Jesus, God conducted the most expensive operation.
Wow.
He has all of the resources of heaven mobilized to find each and every one lost soul here on earth. He sent Jesus to give his life to us, like the darling of heaven, the creator of the universe, the creator of the laws of physics. He comes into our place here and to die so that we can be rescued. So I love these rescue stories because they are inspiring as they are, But when we think about the rescue story that God has done to rescue us out of this quagmire of sin and evil and disease and suffering and pain, it's magnitude multiple times more touching than that. And I think it's just renews my appreciation for the lengths that God went to rescue us and the gratitude that we can have. And you know what? That rescue man, that rescued guy, he probably will never talk to a lot of these people that were involved. But in our case, we can talk to Jesus any day. The very God that has rescued us is also our best friend.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
FM, and joining us here in the studio, we have Nina Atchison. Good morning to you, Nina. Thanks for joining us here at the Breakfast Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we just got your microphone back up, so it's good to have you here. Actually, for people that were listening to us last year, Lawson, remember when we interviewed Jacob Atchison, the boy that fought off a shark and saved the life of another boy? Well, Nina happens to be his mom, so it's great to have more of the family here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay. Nina, so I think that your microphone is still a little bit muted there. Okay. So Nina, actually, I'm here to talk to you about this project that you have been involved with, which is these Bible study guides. We have been studying them every week here. It's growing in a relationship with God. I actually wanted to start. There's more resources here. There's children's resources. There is a book that you wrote about basking in the Word of God that I also want to ask you about. But I wanted to start with this growing in this relationship with God. How did that project start, and why are you passionate about that project?
Yeah, so I'm a teacher and a curriculum specialist. You want me to change microphones?
Yeah, change the microphones here.
Yeah, I'm a teacher and a curriculum specialist, and I love to write. I've been writing for many years. Right now, I'm working for the Seventh-day Adventist Church and at the world headquarters. And it's interesting. The Seventh-day Adventist Church has had, for the past 173 years, a Bible study guide that its members use.
173 years.
173
Wow.
years without stopping, amazingly.
Wow.
And so it's an organized system whereby all of the members around, or many of the members around the world, read the same lessons every day, and then they come together on Saturday, on Sabbath, and they study this together. And so I was asked recently, a couple of years ago, to write, it's actually a quarter, which is 13 weeks. And so this topic that I was given was growing in a relationship with God, something that I'm very passionate about. And of course, when I sat down to write, I thought, well, where do you really begin? It's such a big topic,
It's a big topic.
Huge topic.
For sure.
But right now, around the world, in over 100 languages, this topic is being studied by, the physical copy is read by more than 4.6 million people, and many more online as well. So if any of our listeners would like to access a copy, you can find it online. There's a Sabbath School app. If you type in the word Sabbath School in the App Store, you'll find it for free. It's an app that's got a blue world with 3 white lines through it. But it's a really personal topic, I think, for all of us as we consider, how do you have a relationship with God, this God that you can't see, you can't sit down with him, but yet there's an invitation for all of us in the Bible to have a relationship with God. So
I actually wanted to ask you this question, because you said very well, like, where do you even start? It's such a big topic. So how did God show you where to start? How did you solve that problem?
Yeah, so I started by, of course, praying, and I was searching through the Bible about what kinds of areas would I want to explain if I was teaching this, face to face to someone. And I came up with maybe 20 or 30 different possible chapters. And then I kind of distilled it down more and more and more to 13 chapters. And really, I wanted this to be not just a whole bunch of random topics, but I wanted it to be a journey. And so from the beginning to the end, we start with a reality check. So it's almost like a health check. What is my relationship with God like? Do I even have a relationship with God? And then I gradually build on the next chapter is, who is God and how do I know him? What is his character like? And then we kind of move through various other topics, such as how do I study the Bible? What is the role of the Bible in my life? How do I pray? What are some of the barriers to these areas? What is faith? What about sin in my life and the gospel? And then repentance and forgiveness, and setbacks in my life, things that really try to prevent me from having this close relationship with God. What do I do with these things? And it's ultimately, what does Jesus do, right? And then at the very end, we look into eternity in heaven, having that relationship with a God that I can see and be with. So it's a real special journey, and it was a really incredible experience writing it, actually.
We'll definitely be enjoying studying about it here at the Breakfast Show. We do it every morning. And one question that I always wanted to ask is, what did you find that was the hardest chapter to write about?
Yeah, no one's asked me that before. It's a good question. I think probably chapter 9, which is on sin, the gospel, and the law. It's quite a theological chapter, and I think just kind of understanding the weight of sin in our lives. And really, it's sin that is the biggest obstructor to our relationship with God. It's the thing that pulls us away from God. And so just trying to understand it and capture the very heart of, well, what do we do with this? And it's ultimately, in the title, Sin, the Gospel, and the Law. I think so many of us misunderstand the law as really capturing God's beautiful character. And so when we come close to the law, it's really just like a mirror. It reflects our own need of Jesus. But even just pausing long enough in our lives to identify, wow, there are these sins. And I think generally in culture, we try to downplay sin. And yet the Bible clearly identifies sin as anything that separates us from God. And so if we want to grow in a relationship with God, it's helpful to reflect on these things.
Yeah. Yes, you mentioned that sin is something that is interrupting or blocking or damaging our relationship with God. Lawson, do you have a question that you want to ask?
I just wanted to say this is the thing that I'm really noticing about this 20 million movement lesson this quarter is how personal it's getting. We've been talking this week about pride, and personal pride, and having to admit, I'm a proud person, and so I love that you've gone a route of very personal and very personally challenging to enable growth. I want to ask a question: was that nerve-wracking for you to go, oh man, I want to fill up this with things that will really personally challenge the people? It's not just some external auxiliary information, but people could read this and maybe get offended. They could feel as though, oh man, is this attacking me? What was that like, writing that and going through that process of saying, how can I ask those pointed questions and really get underneath the surface of people?
Yeah, of course it's very easy for us when we talk about having a relationship with God to just talk about the high points or the great moments, the parts that it makes them feel good. And certainly there is that in this lesson as well. It's not just all really like personally challenging, although there are a couple of areas, pride, this week's one is certainly that. And the chapter 9 is that as well. But I think in the end, I suppose I really just humbled myself, like truly humbled as I was writing this. And it was really challenging for me personally. And as I was grappling with this, I thought, well, I can't not say these things.
Yeah.
It has been edited, so I'm the author, but it was edited by someone else, and they added a little here and there. So sometimes I'll also read it and go, "Ooh, that's a little sharp," but I think it's probably in our culture here in Australia, it's not common that you have a conversation with someone where you really have a good hard stare at yourself and you ask someone, what is your relationship with God really like?
Yeah, wow.
And so I think this is really attempting to do that, to just pause, slow down and have a good close look. And genuinely, if we want to grow in our relationship with God, we have to really do that, to take that really honest look at ourselves.
Absolutely.
and turn to Him. He wants us to seek His face, and He's such a gracious God, isn't He? It's just incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I like that, because no true relationship that you have, either be in a marriage relationship or a friendship or a relationship with a child, if you don't have that element of honesty and transparency, this is just a fake relationship.
Yeah.
This is just a superficial relationship. And above all the relationships, the most important one is our relationship with our Creator.
Yeah.
How can we expect God not to be honest with us? But at the same time, it's an honesty that comes from a place of love, not from a place of judgment, not from a place of putting us down, but a place of, hey, there's something wrong. Let's work in this together.
Exactly. Yeah. And ultimately, all of us, no matter how strong we might feel our relationship with God is, all of us can grow.
Yeah.
Grow closer. And I mean, I wrote this several years ago, but I'm reading it with my family and I'm being challenged. It's crazy, by what I wrote. I'm thinking, wow, so I think no matter where we're at, we can grow.
Absolutely. Nina, let me talk to you. I want to talk about the other resources here. And I'm particularly interested by these two big books that you have here in front of me, which have an exquisite illustration. And I'm taking that this is not AI.
No. Yeah, so I've been working for the past 6 years on creating a Sabbath school curriculum. It's a Bible curriculum for families. It's really a discipleship curriculum for families to use at home and for churches to use as well. And it's called Alive in Jesus. So any of our listeners, if they would like to have a look at this curriculum, you can go to aliveinjesus.info. Everything you'll find there is free. The lessons, there's music, there's podcasts, which I think some of the podcasts will start to be played each day here on Faith FM as well. But this curriculum really, the foundation of it is the Bible. Yeah. There are 3 pillars: grace, character development, and mission. And it's really just about teaching our children how to know and love Jesus, how to trust his word, and how to actually let their lives live out this belief, this love for Jesus. And so you're right, we've got a lot of, it's like storybooks.
It's very beautiful. I've never seen a book that beautiful. It's really amazingly made. And how does it work? So there's a lesson each day that parents can do together with their children. How does it work?
Yes. So every day we actually have, the very first book is for parents with babies. And so it's just about establishing routines with your little one, introducing them to Jesus. It's lots of music in that baby's level. And then as we move up through the levels, there's actually 7 levels, starting with beginner, kindergarten, primary, junior, teen, youth. And there's something every day for families to read. So a little part of a Bible story written in a very appealing way. And then there's some discussion questions. There's parent faith talk. There's activities, little mission challenges, and we have nature lessons, and so many interesting, really engaging, meaningful moments for families to explore together. So families could just take 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's all you'd need. And I think families that use this will see that it really will start to change, by God's grace, the culture of their home. To have these spiritual conversations, it's not something that we often do with our children, unless we're intentional, because life is so busy. And so what we've attempted to do here is to equip parents with a resource that the children will love to use. They can look at the pictures and also hear the beautiful stories.
And Nina, tell me a little bit, what was some of the, if you could choose, I'm seeing here that you have the beginner one, the kindergarten one. In the kindergarten sphere, what was one of the most fun mission challenges that you mentioned? Can you think of any interesting or fun mission challenges that you really enjoyed putting in that material?
Well, there's actually a mission challenge every week. So over the course of the entire curriculum, there's over 900 mission challenges.
Wow.
So it's really, and I mean, sometimes they're very age appropriate. So for the little children, it might be something so simple as think about how you can help your mum today.
Yeah.
Notice what you might be able to do with her to show her how much you love her or how much Jesus loves her. And as we progress through the ages, it might be something more intentional, such as how can you share your faith with a friend at school who might not know God, or invite one of your friends to church. So they're very practical. Some of them are more about helping others. Ultimately, we're hoping that children will learn how to articulate what they believe and their love for God and their belief in the Bible. So it's really, I think we're starting in simple ways, very small steps. And then by the time the kids are teens, they're able to be really bold about their faith.
Wow, that's really amazing. Well, you're listening to The Breakfast Show. We have Nina Atchison today. She's sharing with us this incredible discipleship project, really. That's what it is, that from the moment that a child is born all the way to their 18th birthday, they will have something to learn about God every single day in growing in grace, in their character development, and as missionaries. We are going to continue that conversation with her after the song. But now we are going to also let you know that we have a giveaway here. And the giveaway is of Nina's other book that she's going to be telling us about, which is called The As Light Lingers, Basking in the Word of God. How to get more out of your reading of the Word of God. How can you extract more and get more inspired and learn amazing tips? If you want to get that book, you can text us here, #linger. #linger to 0491 064 669. Again, #linger to 0491 064 669. We're going to talk more about that book after the song. And also, if you'd like to get the link to that 20 million movement lesson, that Sabbath school lesson, #Nina, and we are going to send that to you. #Nina, that's NINA, and we will send you the link for that as well.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.